Hello and welcome to another episode of Always in Escrow with Colby Burchin and Serena Appel. Hello, Colby.
Hello, Serena. I'm feeling a little sweet today.
Oh, I definitely am sweeter than normal because we have Kristen Tomlan, the founder of Dough, Cookie Dough Confections, the world's first edible cookie dough confectionery, and the author of Hello Cookie Dough, 110 delicious confections to eat, bake, and share. Kristen, welcome to our show.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I mean, I have a huge sweet tooth, as most know, so I am particularly excited about this episode. So thank you so much for coming on.
Of course.
So tell us a little bit about your background and experience that led you to start Dough.
Yes. So I have been a lifelong baker. I grew up in the kitchen next to my mom and kind of took on the role of resident baker in the household. And for me, that continued even through college. And when I moved to New York City, it was like kind of my outlet to just, not think, and like therapy in a way. And I went to school for design, so interior design. And then I moved up to New York City to work at a branding agency. And it was there that I was working in their innovation practice, where I was working with lots of amazing Fortune 500 companies and trying to innovate their brand and their customer experience. And it was really there that I had the idea for Dough, because I had always been eating cookie dough straight from the bowl, even though it was a big no-no. And I thought, how are we still not figured this out? Making it safe to eat. We're still worried about getting sick. I actually was with a bunch of girlfriends. We went to Philadelphia to visit another friend, and we went to this cookie shop, and they had all these delicious fresh baked cookies. And I had stumbled over to the freezer, and they had their cookie dough frozen in like pucks for you to take home and bake and kind of have this fresh baked experience. And I turned to my girlfriends. I was like, I kind of just want the cookie dough. Does anybody want to split it with me? And we all agreed, like, yeah, let's just do that. But we couldn't sit in this cute little bakery and eat the cookie dough because there was a big warning, like, don't eat raw. We had no intention of baking it. And so that was really the moment for me that I was like, why haven't we figured this out? And like, this needs to exist in the world. I'm not the only person who loves cookie dough. It's so many people's favorite part of of the baking process. I was always guilty of making a double batch and like have to eat and have to bake. So I thought, if it doesn't exist, then like I need to create it.
That's amazing. Okay, so sounds a little bit like you were inspired in that bake shop. So what did inspire you to really create a cookie dough company, and what keeps you inspired?
Originally, I was still working full time when I had the idea. And so I was testing, and I had the best group of coworkers who were working in this branding and innovation space. And that was kind of my forte. So I used my baking experience, my branding experience, and I really wanted it to be a cookie dough experience. So I was always thinking about it as a physical store that you could go to and celebrate eating cookie dough rather than hiding and eating cookie dough. But originally I decided to launch online because I knew nothing about running a business, and I was still working full time. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to be one of those places that opens in New York and it's like, oh, that's such a great concept. And then, an inexperienced operator has to close for, a number of reasons. So I gave myself a year. And after the first year of running the online business, then I was like, okay, I need to let people in on this and really enjoy the whole experience. So I wanted it to be an experience. And I think, as far as like flavors go and the whole, the actual cookie dough experience in the shop, it's like a scoopable experience. So you can get cookie dough by the scoop. It's kind of like ice cream, but cookie dough, and you can mix it with ice cream, and you can have it kind of however you want it. You can certainly get it baked if like eating raw cookie dough is not your jam. But I constantly am like trying to continue to be inspired by, fun trends and different cultures and different desserts. And I think at the core of what dough is about, it's about like this nostalgia. So anything that is nostalgic to my childhood, or other people find really, just brings them back to being a kid. That's kind of what dough is all about, is just allowing yourself to be that kid again.
So what has been the response from consumers and celebrities?
So the response was way better than I could have ever imagined. My husband, right before opening, we were like, we're like down to our last, bit. We're like, okay, we got like one more payroll in the bank. Like, how are we going to do this? Is anybody going to show up? And we had lines down the block that it was the middle of the winter when we opened, and these lines were stretching, 3-4 hours. I think because everybody was just like, it was this novel idea. Everyone was like, oh my God, this is amazing. How can I get my hands on it? So we were very, very grateful for the response, but also very overwhelmed with the response. And it definitely took some, changing the operation and figuring it out. But I feel like that's what an entrepreneur is. You just got to figure it out as you go. And same with celebrities. We were lucky enough to get it in a few celebrities' hands, actually a lot of celebrities' hands, and get some organic press that way. Because again, like, who doesn't love cookie dough?
You had a life-changing moment that propelled you to start the company. Can you tell us a little bit about that chapter of your life?
Yeah. So that chapter happened in 2014. I had already had the idea for dough, and I had worked on this business plan. And I had taken a little bit of time off because my wedding was coming up. So I was like, I'm going to focus on the wedding and, pick it back up after the honeymoon. And I was prescribed an antibiotic, and my body had a very, very severe and rare reaction. It was a condition called Stevens-Johnson syndrome. And I ended up in the hospital in New York City in the burn ICU for a month, on a ventilator, feeding tube, the whole thing. Everything just kind of happened overnight. And really, like, thank God that I'm okay. And I'm always so thankful for the medical team. And I was in the best place, being New York City, to have the care and treatment that I needed. But when I got out of the hospital and I was kind of reevaluating my life and everything, I went back to work part-time to kind of ease back into it. And it really put things into perspective. And I thought, what do I have to lose? I almost just, didn't make it. I might as well really follow this dream that I have and start this business and spread joy, really, and like happiness. That's what brought me joy and happiness. And so as I was recovering, working on this business was definitely a type of therapy that helped me get through a really difficult time. And I ended up launching the business 6 months after I got out of the hospital, like exactly to the day. And it really just pushed me to make that step. I felt like, I could always go get another job, or I could always go back to my old job. But this was just a once in a lifetime opportunity. And there was just something calling me to make this major life change.
Wow, incredible. That is unbelievable. And we're so happy that you're well and that it ended up creating your business. I mean,
Yeah, me too.
okay, so we hear that congratulations are in order as Dough was recently acquired.
Yeah, it's been a big change, but a really exciting one, because I think over the course of running this business, my passion has always been in the branding, design, marketing space, which obviously is where my background is from. And I was finding myself a little bit bogged down by the operations and the HR and all of the things that, actually happen behind the scenes. My role and my job changed over the course as the business grew. And I was the one that was just, dealing with all the headaches. And I thought, I want to get back to where I really thrive and where my expertise and joy comes from. And so, the individual that acquired the business, Neil Hirschman, he owns the 16 Handles franchises. And we had worked with him for many, many years. We sold cookie dough to them, to all of his New York City stores. And they used it in their toppings bar as a to-go option. And he loved the product. He loved the brand. He knew kind of how well known it was in New York City. And so we decided to expand our partnership. And when we were acquired by them, that meant that we were able to go in all of the 30 plus 16 handle stores nationwide, and they are rapidly expanding. So it was a really good opportunity for us to, reach more customers, which is always a goal of mine, and continue to really authentically grow the brand in a way that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, the best compliment to cookie dough is ice cream, and so we couldn't be happier about the acquisition. And for me personally, the ability to work on the things that I really love, and partner with Neil too. He's a finance and operations guy, and so it's really the perfect marriage.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic!
Congratulations, that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I'm so curious because obviously I have my favorites. What is your favorite flavor for dough?
So my favorite flavor, it's like picking between my children, but
right.
So
I was thinking that.
I know it's hard, and I feel like each one has its own like place and time. Like classic chocolate chip is always our best seller, and I will never turn that one down. But I think my absolute favorite is this one called Heavenly. It's actually our sugar cookie base, and then it has a lot of really yummy mix-ins, including Nutella. It has caramel bits, so this like chewy chocolate chips, so you get this crunch, and then it's topped with sea salt. So it's like all the things you could want in one. It's just a flavor explosion, and it's really good.
So much variety. Okay, so talking about your creative juices, let's talk about your cookbook. What was the cookbook writing process like? And were you constantly in recipe development?
The cookbook writing process was wild. It took 2 years to write and develop all the recipes, test everything, the photography. And it was one of my absolute favorite projects because so much of it, I could really flex that creative muscle and get back into the kitchen and make sure that, this vision kind of came to life. So the book obviously is centered around cookie dough, teaches you how to make your own cookie dough that is safe. And for me, it was also an extension of the brand and a way I know that, not everybody was able to come to New York City and experience dough for themselves or even get it shipped to their doorstep because we do ship nationwide, but it can be expensive. And so I really wanted people to be able to experience safe to eat cookie dough in the comfort of their own home. I grew up, as a child baking, and I wanted, to share what I knew with everyone else. So it has certainly a ton of cookie dough recipes, but it also has other confections, like cookie dough cinnamon rolls and, cookie dough milkshakes and all sorts of stuff that, again, are just really nostalgic to me and my childhood. And the other thing that was important about this cookbook is I really do a lot of storytelling about my personal story and really just encouraging people to go for their dreams. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I was not an entrepreneur. I didn't go to business school. And I think a lot of that, self-doubt and fear, doesn't, gets in the way of people's dreams. And I just really wanted to talk about how I went from nothing to creating this business and this brand and really inspire others to do the same.
So a lot of people are just so inspired by you. How do you stay motivated? Tell the audience, because so many people look up to you.
So I enjoy working and I really thrive on the energy. And I think the thing that keeps me motivated most of all is my customers and making sure that, our product is the best that it can be, the best ingredients, the best quality. And my team who, I could not do any of what I've done without them. And it's one thing to start a business and be a solo entrepreneur and just, run your business by yourself. But once you're responsible for other people and their livelihood, then it definitely motivates you to keep going and keep working. And I love to innovate. So I'm always the one who's looking for the next thing or trying to, think of fun flavors or fun launches. And so for me, that creative process is always super motivating.
What about advice for aspiring foodie entrepreneurs?
Follow your gut. I think that, you're the one who has this vision for the concept or the idea, and So you know it best. I remember so many people telling me when I went from exclusively online to brick and mortar, they're like, you're making a terrible decision. Like, this is not what, the future is. And it was the best thing I ever did, because I was like, I feel it in my gut and in my soul that this needs to exist. And I'm so glad that I followed that.
That's great. So where can our audience find dough and read your cookbook?
Yes. So the cookbook is available anywhere books are sold. So Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all of those fun retailers. And on our own dough website. Each cookbook you buy there comes signed. So that's a little tip. And then you can get cookie dough through our website. So we ship nationwide. So it doesn't really matter where you're living. We'll ship it right to your door. It goes in like a, insulated little cooler with ice packs. So it arrives fresh and ready to eat. And it's also available in all of the 16 Handles locations nationwide.
Wow. What an incredible journey you've had. And it's amazing to hear. I mean, truly, dough is a phenomenon. I mean, the fact that it is scoopable, you can eat it wherever, and it's shipping, and your journey, your entrepreneurial journey too. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
One more thing to add, just for anybody, it was always important for me to be inclusive. And so we have vegan flavors, we have gluten-free flavors, we have lots of options. And the cookie dough, I know I talked about it being, mostly baked or unbaked, but it also makes really, really delicious cookies. So you have that versatility. You can do a lot with it.
Thank you so much, Kristen. It's great to be with you.
You too.